Hey everyone, welcome to Life and Learn, where we dive into the fascinating world of psychology, personal growth, and mindful living. I'm thrilled you're here. Relationships thrive on good communication, yet many of us fall into habits of reactive, unclear, or unempathetic interactions. In this explainer, we'll discover how mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment with openness and non-judgment, can transform the way we communicate. By staying calm, truly listening, and responding with compassion, we can deepen our connections. In fact, studies show that people who practice mindfulness tend to have more satisfying relationships. Why? Because mindfulness helps us bring clarity and compassion into our interactions instead of knee-jerk reactions. Let's explore what mindful communication looks like and how it can foster emotional regulation, better listening, non-reactive responses, and empathy in our daily conversations. Mindful communication versus reactive communication. What's the difference between mindful communication and reactive communication? It often comes down to awareness and intention. When we communicate mindfully, we pause and choose our words consciously, tuned into our own feelings and the other person's. In reactive communication, we operate on autopilot. Emotions drive our words, often leading to misunderstandings or hurt feelings. A reactive communication. Imagine your partner criticizes you for forgetting an errand. Without thinking, you snap back defensively or raise your voice. Perhaps you interrupt them with, "Oh, give me a break, I had a long day." This knee-jerk reaction is guided by anger or hurt, your tone is harsh, and you might say things you later regret. The result, the conversation escalates, feelings get hurt, and nothing truly gets resolved. Mindful communication. Now envision the same scenario, but you pause before responding. You notice your anger and take a slow breath. Instead of lashing out, you reply calmly, "I understand you're upset that I forgot. I'm sorry. Let's figure out how to make this right." Your tone is gentle. You listen to your partner's concern without interrupting. This mindful response de-escalates the tension. Both of you feel heard, and you can calmly discuss a solution. In the mindful approach, there's a clear difference in tone, pace, and intent. The mindful communicator speaks slower, uses a relaxed tone, and remains aware of their emotions before those emotions spill into words. The reactive communicator, by contrast, might talk over the other person, use sharper language, or let frustration dictate the conversation. Pause for reflection. Think about a recent conversation where you reacted impulsively. Maybe with a friend, family member, or colleague. How did it feel in your body as you reacted? What was the outcome of that interaction? Now imagine if you had paused for a moment before responding. How might the conversation have been different? Just taking that moment can be the first step towards mindful communication. By comparing these approaches, we see that mindful communication isn't about being soft or passive. It's about responding with clarity, saying what you mean in a thoughtful way, and compassion, respecting the other person's feelings rather than reacting out of anger or fear. Next, let's examine how mindfulness helps us regulate those intense emotions that often trigger reactive outbursts. Emotional regulation, calming the storm before it erupts. One of the greatest benefits of mindfulness and communication is improved emotional regulation. When a conversation gets heated, our emotions can surge in an instant. It's like a spark hitting dry grass. Anger, defensiveness, or fear can hijack our better judgment. Psychologists often refer to this as an amygdala hijack. An emotional response so intense that our amygdala, the brain's threat detector, takes over, and our frontal lobes, the rational thinking part of the brain, shut down. In an amygdala hijack, we go into fight or flight mode, saying or doing things driven by raw emotion rather than reason. This is the hallmark of reactive communication. We speak out of panic or anger, not clarity. Mindfulness helps prevent these hijacks by training us to stay present and recognize our feelings without immediately reacting. With practice, we become better at noticing the early signs of anger or anxiety in our body. A racing heart, tense shoulders, a knot in the stomach, and can take a moment to pause and breathe. This momentary pause is powerful. It gives our brain a chance to engage the prefrontal cortex, the area for reasoning and self-control, before the amygdala runs away with the show. Neuroscience research supports this calming effect. Studies have found that regular mindfulness practice can literally rewire the brain's stress response circuitry. For example, brain scans show that after mindfulness meditation training, the amygdala tends to become less reactive to emotional triggers. Not only can the amygdala actually shrink in size with ongoing practice, but its functional connections to the prefrontal cortex become weaker, meaning the amygdala is less likely to overtake our rational brain. In simple terms, mindfulness strengthens the wise part of the brain that helps us stay calm, while toning down the alarm part that makes us explode in anger or fear. What does this brain science mean for our relationships? It means that if you regularly practice mindfulness, like breathing exercises, meditation, or simply being fully present, you're less likely to yell, insult, or storm off during an argument. Instead, you'll have a crucial moment of choice. Rather than a knee-jerk reaction, you can choose a response aligned with your true intentions, like maintaining respect and understanding. Mindfulness gives you the space to respond instead of react. Real-life example. Suppose your friend openly disagrees with you at a group dinner in a way that feels attacking. A reactive impulse might be to snap back with a hurtful comment or an angry tone, but if you've cultivated mindfulness, you might notice your cheeks getting hot and your breath quickening, signs you're upset. You then pause, maybe take a sip of water and a deep breath. This simple pause keeps you from blurting out something mean. With a cooler head, you respond, "I hear you have a different view, and it's making me feel defensive. Let's talk this through calmly." By regulating your emotion, you turned a potential fight into a respectful discussion. Key takeaway. Emotional regulation through mindfulness is like an internal cooling system. It keeps the conversation from overheating. You can acknowledge your feelings, "I'm getting angry right now," without letting those feelings control what you say or do next. This lays the foundation for communicating with clarity, even in tense moments. Communication isn't just about how we speak, it's also about how we listen. In fact, one of the most profound acts of mindfulness in relationships is mindful listening. How often do we half listen to others because we're distracted or busy formulating our own response? If you've ever noticed your attention drifting while someone else is talking, planning your rebuttal, checking your phone, or judging their words, you know how easily true listening can slip away. Mindful listening means fully present, non-judgmental listening. You give the speaker your undivided attention, as if nothing else matters in that moment. You listen not just to the words, but also the tone and emotion behind them. You might notice the other person's facial expressions or body language. Instead of interrupting or jumping in with your story, you pause and absorb what they said. You might even reflect back what you heard. "So you felt hurt when I cancelled our plans, is that right?" When you listen mindfully, the speaker feels respected and understood, which is incredibly important in building trust. Compare this to distracted or reactive listening. If a friend is confiding in you and you're hastily offering advice before they finish, or you're visibly impatient, they'll likely feel unheard or even judged. Miscommunications thrive when we don't listen properly. We might jump to conclusions or miss the real point the other person is trying to convey. Mindful listening can be practiced by simple techniques. Pause internal chatter. Notice when your mind starts wandering or judging what's being said. Gently bring your focus back to the speaker's words. Use body language. Face the person, make eye contact, nod or give small acknowledgements like "I see" or "I understand." This encourages you to stay engaged and signals that you care. Don't interrupt or rush to respond. Let the person finish their thought. If you're not sure you understood, ask a clarifying question rather than assuming. For example, when you say you felt ignored, do you mean during the group meeting we had? Empathize with their perspective. Try to put yourself in their shoes as you listen. What emotion are they feeling? How might you feel if you were them? This doesn't mean you have to agree, but it helps you comprehend their experience. By listening in this mindful way, you create a safe space for open communication. Pause for reflection. Think of a time when someone really listened to you, gave you their full attention and empathy. How did that make you feel? Probably valued, respected, and closer to that person. Now, think of a time when you weren't heard. Maybe someone kept checking their phone or cut you off. In mindful communication, listening is just as active as speaking. It's an expression of compassion. When we listen with patience and presence, we foster understanding. Now that we've looked at staying calm and listening well, let's explore how mindfulness also boosts our empathy and compassion during communication. Cultivating empathy and compassion through mindfulness. Empathy is the ability to feel or understand what another person is experiencing, to put yourself in their shoes. Compassion goes a step further. It's the wish to alleviate another's suffering or to help them, combined with heartfelt understanding. In the context of communication, empathy and compassion are what allow us to respond kindly and non-judgmentally, even when the other person is upset or when we disagree. When we're not mindful, what usually happens in a difficult interaction? We might become self-focused, caught up in our own argument, pride, or hurt. Our goal might shift to winning the argument or defending ourselves rather than understanding each other. Empathy flies out the window. For example, if a friend is angry because they feel neglected, a mindless response might be, "Oh, come on, you're overreacting," which dismisses their feelings. This often makes the person even more upset because their emotions are being invalidated. With mindfulness, we practice non-judgment, noticing our own thoughts and feelings and the other person's feelings without immediately labeling them right or wrong. This open attitude naturally extends to others as empathy. We become curious about what the other person is feeling and why. Instead of judging their emotional reaction, we might think they're really upset right now. That must feel awful for them. I wonder what they're needing. This shift in mindset is the seed of compassionate communication. Interestingly, mindfulness and compassion aren't just abstract ideas. They have roots in neuroscience too. Researchers have found that practicing mindfulness, and especially compassion meditation, a practice where you actively send kind or forgiving thoughts, often called loving-kindness meditation, can activate and even strengthen the brain circuits for empathy. In one study, experienced compassion meditators showed dramatic changes in the brain regions that help detect emotions and understand others' feelings. This suggests that when we regularly cultivate compassion through meditation or mindful habits, we are literally training our brain's empathy muscles. We become more attuned to others' emotions on a neurological level. Psychologically, mindfulness also reduces our knee-jerk stress response in tough interactions. When we're less consumed by our own stress or anger, we have more bandwidth to pay attention to the other person's experience. Psychologically, mindfulness also reduces our knee-jerk stress response in tough interactions. When we're less consumed by our own stress or anger, we have more bandwidth to pay attention to the other person's experience. One study noted that meditation training can enhance empathy by reducing the stress response we normally feel in adversarial situations. In other words, if we're not busy mentally defending ourselves or feeling attacked, because mindfulness has kept us calmer, we can actually listen and care about what the other person is going through. We're able to say, "I see you're hurt. I'm sorry you're feeling that way," rather than reacting with, "Well, I didn't mean it that way, so you shouldn't be upset." Empathy in communication shows up as things like validating feelings. "I understand why that made you angry. I think I'd feel the same in your position." Showing care. "I can see this issue is really important to you. Let's work on it together," using compassionate language. Even if giving feedback or disagreeing, doing so gently. "I respect your perspective, even if I see it differently. I value you and want to find a solution." When both people in a conversation feel that their emotions are acknowledged and cared about, it builds trust. It's easier to find common ground or resolve conflicts because there's a mutual human understanding. You're not enemies, you're collaborators trying to solve a problem or heal a rift. It's important to note that empathy doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says or never standing up for yourself. It simply means you strive to understand their feelings and point of view. You might still calmly explain your perspective or set boundaries, but you do it while recognizing the other person's humanity and emotions. This is what mindful, compassionate communication looks like in action. Next, let's bring it all together with some concrete real-life examples to see how mindful communication plays out during a heated conflict or a misunderstanding. Real-life example 1. Mindfulness during conflict with a partner. Consider a common relationship conflict scenario. Alex and Jordan are a couple. Alex comes home upset that Jordan forgot to pick up a prescription Alex urgently needed. Alex confronts Jordan, voice raised. "You forgot the one thing I asked for. You never listened to me, and now I'm suffering because of you." This is a tense moment, and it could go down two very different paths. Jordan immediately feels attacked and triggered. Without pausing, Jordan shouts back, "How dare you say I never listen? You're always criticizing me. I had a long day, I just forgot, okay? Get off my back." Jordan's face is flushed and tone is sarcastic. Alex, already upset, now gets even angrier. "I'm criticizing you because you don't care," Alex yells and maybe throws in an insult like "you're so irresponsible." The argument spirals. Both are speaking out of anger and hurt, not really hearing each other. Perhaps Jordan storms out of the room or Alex ends up in tears. In this reactive exchange, emotions are running the show. Now let's rewind the scene. Alex is still upset and confronts Jordan with, "You forgot the prescription I needed," but before responding, Jordan takes a mindful pause, literally taking a slow breath to cool down the surge of defensiveness. Jordan reminds himself, Alex is upset at the situation. It's not an attack on my worth. Instead of yelling, Jordan speaks softly. "I'm really sorry. I realize that was important. I see that you're upset and you have every right to be." Jordan even steps closer to Alex in a gesture of care. This calm reaction surprises Alex, who was braced for a fight. Alex's anger begins to soften now that Jordan acknowledged the mistake and Alex's feelings. Alex might still express frustration, but Jordan continues to listen mindfully without interrupting. Once Alex finishes, Jordan might say, "I want to fix this. How can I help now? Maybe I can call the pharmacy or go back right away." In this scenario, Jordan's clarity and compassion change the whole tone. Alex feels heard rather than criticized for being upset. Instead of an adversarial standoff, it becomes both of them versus the problem, the missing prescription, rather than against each other. The conflict de-escalates and they find a solution. Maybe Jordan rushes out to get the medicine. Later on, Alex might even apologize for the harsh words said in the heat of the moment, and Jordan, having remained calm, can forgive easily. This example shows how one person's mindfulness can influence an entire interaction. By not reacting on impulse, Jordan prevented a full-blown fight. Mindfulness allowed Jordan to stay emotionally regulated, listen to Alex's underlying message, Alex was scared and felt let down, and respond with empathy. The content of Jordan's response, "I hear you, I'm sorry, let's solve this," is clear and caring instead of defensive. It's worth noting that Alex could practice mindfulness here too. For instance, Alex could have started the conversation less accusatorily by stating feelings. "I was worried and upset when I saw you forgot it," rather than "you never listen," which is a blaming statement. Mindfulness on Alex's part would mean expressing the hurt without exaggeration or personal attacks. It's worth noting that Alex could practice mindfulness here too. For instance, Alex could have started the conversation less accusatorily by stating feelings. "I was worried and upset when I saw you forgot it," rather than "you never listen," which is a blaming statement. Mindfulness on Alex's part would mean expressing the hurt without exaggeration or personal attacks. That would make Jordan even more likely to respond calmly. But even if one person is reactive, the other person's mindful approach can steer the conversation back to safety. Real-life example. 2. Mindfulness during a miscommunication with a friend. Let's look at a different kind of situation, a miscommunication between friends. Imagine Priya texted her close friend Sam earlier in the day about something important, but Sam only replied hours later with a brief message. Priya was hoping for support on a stressful issue, and Sam's late one-line reply felt dismissive. Reactive approach. Sam asks if something's wrong. Priya, feeling neglected, snaps, "You clearly didn't think my problem was important since you couldn't be bothered to respond." Sam, now on the defensive, fires back, "I was busy. You're overreacting. Not everything is about you." Priya responds, "I bare my soul and you can't even respond? Maybe I just shouldn't rely on you at all." The conversation devolves into a bitter exchange. Sam feels unfairly attacked. After all, Sam was swamped with work that day and wasn't intentionally ignoring Priya. And Priya feels invalidated and angry. The friendship takes a hit, both hang up feeling angry and unappreciated. In this scenario, assumptions and emotions drove the communication. Priya assumed Sam didn't care and reacted out of hurt. Sam reacted to Priya's accusatory tone with their own anger. Neither truly understood what was happening with the other. Mindful approach. Now let's see how mindfulness could change this. When Sam calls and asks if something's wrong, Priya expresses herself honestly but calmly. "I want to share with you that I felt a bit hurt today. I was really stressed about that issue, and when you didn't respond, I started to feel like you didn't care." Priya's voice is gentle, not accusatory, focusing on her feelings rather than blaming Sam. Sam, hearing this, doesn't feel attacked. Instead, Sam feels concerned that Priya was hurt. Because Priya didn't lash out, Sam can respond mindfully too. "I'm so sorry, Priya. I do care a lot. I was stuck in back-to-back work meetings all day and saw your text only when I finally took a break. I should have at least told you I was tied up. I understand why you felt that way." Priya, now understanding it was a miscommunication, says, Thanks for telling me. I'm relieved you do care. I was imagining the worst. With the air cleared, Sam then gives Priya the supportive ear she originally needed. Tell me more about the issue now. I'm here for you. In the mindful version, a potential fallout was avoided. Priya's mindfulness helped her avoid assumptions and personal attacks and instead communicate her feelings vulnerably but respectfully. Sam's mindfulness helped them listen without defensiveness, apologize, and explain calmly. Both prioritized understanding over ego. In the mindful version, a potential fallout was avoided. Priya's mindfulness helped her avoid assumptions and personal attacks and instead communicate her feelings vulnerably but respectfully. Sam's mindfulness helped them listen without defensiveness, apologize, and explain calmly. Both prioritized understanding over ego. Miscommunications happen all the time, especially with texts and emails where tone is hard to read. Mindfulness encourages us to give the benefit of the doubt and seek clarity gently rather than immediately judging the other person's intentions. A useful mindful mantra here is, don't assume malice when a simple misunderstanding could be at fault. By approaching the situation with a calm, curious mindset instead of an angry, judgmental one, Priya and Sam preserved their friendship and resolved the hurt feelings quickly. Conclusion: communicating with clarity and compassion. By fostering emotional regulation, mindfulness helps us keep our cool when conversations get tough. We're able to respond from our values, clarity, honesty, respect, instead of reacting from knee-jerk emotions. This often means conflicts become more constructive and less hurtful. We replace the chaos of an amygdala hijack with the calm of a thoughtful response. By improving our listening, mindfulness transforms communication from two alternating monologues into a real dialogue. We actually hear each other. People feel seen and valued, which is the foundation of trust and intimacy. Misunderstandings can be cleared up before they explode, and even when we disagree, we do so with mutual respect. By boosting our empathy and compassion, mindfulness shifts our mindset from me versus you to I'm here with you. Instead of adversaries, we become partners, working through an issue. We become more forgiving of each other's mistakes because we can see the human feelings behind the sharp words or errors. Our language softens. We use more I statements explaining our feelings rather than you blame statements. We focus on solutions and understanding rather than victory or revenge. Importantly, mindfulness in communication is a skill. It grows stronger with practice. We might still slip up, we're human, but as we keep at it, our reactive episodes grow shorter or less intense, and our ability to stay calm and kind grows. Even a few seconds of mindful pause or a slight shift in tone can change the outcome of an entire conversation. You don't need to be a meditator sitting on a cushion for hours to apply this. Simply start by incorporating small, mindful moments in your daily interactions. Take a breath before answering a difficult question. Notice your body language and try to relax tense muscles during a tough talk. If you feel emotions surging, acknowledge them silently. I'm feeling upset now, without immediately acting on them. Listen fully to the next person who talks to you and see how it feels to just listen. Choose compassion by reminding yourself that the person you're speaking with has feelings and desires just like you do. Over time, these practices become more natural. You'll likely start to see that arguments resolve more smoothly or even happen less often, and that your relationships feel closer and more resilient. Mindful communication doesn't magically erase all conflict, but it changes the climate of your relationships to one of safety and love, where conflicts can be navigated with care. Over time, these practices become more natural. You'll likely start to see that arguments resolve more smoothly or even happen less often, and that your relationships feel closer and more resilient. Mindful communication doesn't magically erase all conflict, but it changes the climate of your relationships to one of safety and love, where conflicts can be navigated with care. In summary, communicating with clarity and compassion through mindfulness means speaking with intention rather than impulse, listening with full presence, and relating from a place of empathy. It's about connecting heart to heart, even when the conversation is difficult. By practicing these skills, we not only express ourselves more effectively, we also create a space where others feel respected and understood. That space of mutual understanding is where relationships truly flourish. Let's carry this mindful approach forward. In your next conversation, whether it's resolving a conflict or just chatting about your day, try to bring a bit more awareness, a bit more patience, and a bit more kindness. Small changes in how we communicate can ripple out to create big positive changes in our relationships. Clarity fosters understanding, and compassion builds trust. With mindfulness, we can have both, and our relationships will be all the stronger for it. If you find our content helpful, like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on new videos. Thank you for being part of our growing community, and let's embark on this journey of learning and self-discovery.